if you don't mind. Greatly appreciate that. I would ask everyone to please stand for the presentation of the colors and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. I want to thank the Marine Veterans Color Guard, and singing the national anthem, that was Abigail Cordova. Thank you, Abby. We appreciate that. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. We arranged for some wonderful weather for this very special day today for the unveiling of the Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial. I'm Lisa Schaffner with United Network for Organ Sharing. I'm the PR and Marketing Director here, and we are honored that each and every one of you are here and present with us here this morning. We have very many special guests who are joining us and who helped to really make this statue possible and have traveled great distances to be with us here this morning. We also have special guests this morning who are here because they understand the importance of dedicating a statue of this nature and honoring our military veterans. The Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial honors members of our military, both present and past, here and abroad, who have made organ and tissue donation their last courageous act of service so that we may live long and healthy lives in a free and safe world. At UNOS, we believe in long, healthy, and productive lives through organ donation and transplantation. Would you please welcome the CEO of United Network for Organ Sharing, Brian Shepard.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you this morning to UNOS and to the National Organ Donor Memorial. Every day at UNOS, in the building behind us here and another over in Jackson Ward, our teams are working to match organ donors and waiting candidates for transplant. 90 times a day, we make a match that restores a transplant candidate to their health, to their families, to their congregations, to their communities. And as proud as I am to work with the statisticians, the policy analysts, the programmers, and the other professionals that make the match work, it's always humbling to step into this memorial and remember the people who really make the miracle happen. Engraved in the stone wall of another section of the memorial, behind and below us, are more than 600 names that stand in for all the generous donors who made the decision to give the gift of life. Names like James and Nicole, Michelle, Jose, Yoshiko, Javon, Benjamin, and so many more. Thank you all for joining us today as we add to the Donor Memorial to recognize donors from the United States Armed Forces. And please take some time to see all of the memorial before you go and remember all of those who have given so much. Thank you.
The Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial was the idea of Gary Foxon. Gary was a double lung transplant recipient who lived in California. And unfortunately, we lost Gary last year, but his wife Lois joins us today, as does Tom Moan, who is CEO of OneLegacy and OneLegacy Foundation, which made this statue possible today. Would you please welcome Tom Moan, everyone?
Thank you, Lisa. OneLegacy is the organ procurement organization that serves Southern California, and this year will enable more transplants than any organ procurement organization in history. And I share this because our ability to increase donation is founded on honoring and sharing all of the good that comes from the decision to donate life. As we are sharing in a very, very meaningful way today at this memorial, and the memorial will do for years to come. I want to start by thanking our keynote speaker, Governor Terry McAuliffe, for joining us in this dedication and helping to sharing this memorial and its message throughout the state, the region, the country, and the world. Now, people often refer to organ donors as heroes, and many a donor family rightfully takes pride in this. Others say, thank you. I'm not sure our family member or we were heroes because it was simply the right thing to do. Today, we're here to honor and celebrate the legacies of those for whom there is no question of their heroism, because it honors those who chose to risk and give their lives to protect us, each of us, our communities, and our country, and then chose to save the lives of others even after their deaths by giving the gift of life. And they are heroes to us all. The Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial was conceived by lung recipient Gary Foxon, who had in 2004 envisioned originally the Donate Life Rose Parade float. And that float has become the largest donation promotion activity in the world, inspires nearly 100 million people, seen by, I was told, 545 million sets of eyes. I guess some of us see it twice or three times, every New Year's Day. At the 2011 parade, Gary met a donor mom, Jill Stevenson, who shared the story of her son, Ben Kopp, who was injured in battle, evacuated to Landstuhl Hospital in Germany, and then to Walter Reed, where he died and was a donor. Gary had read of those soldiers who were evacuated from the Middle East to Landstuhl, most of who passed away donating their organs and saving the lives of Germans and other Europeans because the organs couldn't get back to this country. But most importantly, sharing with us all the message that we are one human family, one large international community, and the gift of life is a gift to all of us. Gary marveled at the generosity of these soldiers and their family members and reminds us that we can all take moments and recognize that we are one community. Today we'll hear from three of the people touched by the Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial. Gary's wife Lois, as Lisa just mentioned, Dr. Günther Kirste, former head of the German Deutsche Stiftung Organtransplantation, the German Foundation for Organ Transplantation, which was the equivalent of UNOS and every OPO in Germany, and made these donations and transplants possible in Germany by working with the Landstuhl staff back in the early 2000s. And we also, I want to take a moment to mention that we have to take a moment to recognize the artists and the architects who made this possible. Chris Foltz designed this building and this donor memorial some years ago, and when the opportunity came up to put this memorial here in the donor memorial, we were very pleased to have UNOS invite Chris back to do this, make sure it's part of the memorial. And Chris brought in Ann Walsh, who I think you will just see at the time of the unveiling, an absolutely appropriate, fitting honor memorial to soldiers that is so much a part and integrated in the donor memorial. I want to thank both Chris and Ann for their fantastic work. And we will also hear today from Jill Stevenson, the mother of Ben Cobb, reminding us all of the gift of her son's organs, the gift of life, and also Jill's the sister of a donor who died many years earlier, so she can speak truly from the heart of the heroism of both of their acts and the good that came from their donation. Finally, I'd like to thank my colleagues from the OneLegacy Foundation Board who are here that raised the funds to make the Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial possible. Chairman William Chertoff and Vice Chairman and Senator Art Torres, thank you both for joining us. Thank you most importantly for making this dream, Gary's dream, a reality. And a shout out, of course, to the many individual donors who helped this project along as well. Without your support, Gary's vision, this memorial, and its life-fulfilling and life-saving message would be unheard. Thank you for helping us all honor these heroes and their gift of life. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Lois Foxon, and I am Gary's widow. He did pass away 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years on Sunday, actually, November 13th. And just 3 months prior to that, Gary and I were here in Richmond visiting family, and then of course we came over to UNOS because we wanted to know, the progress of what was happening with the memorial, and also to see where it was going to finally end up in the garden. And so I am just absolutely delighted to be back here and for this marvelous dedication today. So Tom has pretty much given you a little bit of the history. Gary was absolutely overwhelmed with joy to have received his lung transplant in June of 1999. And he had no idea that he would go on to live another 15 and a half years with that lung. He figured, maybe 5 years would be it. So in that time, he founded the Rose Parade float, and then came up with the idea of this memorial to the fallen soldiers. Gary was a veteran himself of the United States Air Force back in the early 50s, and so he always has had a soft spot in his heart for the military. And when he heard about the generosity of these fallen soldiers who had gone on to become organ donors to the local folks in Germany and neighboring countries, he said, I don't think the world and anybody really knows about this. And he said, and I'm going to make sure it happens. I'm going to make sure they know. So he came up with this idea, and I'm just, as I said, I'm just delighted that I'm here today to participate in the unveiling, and then also to see the plaque that's going to go on the wall in Germany at the military hospital there. So anyway, thank you so much for being here, and without further ado, next up.
Well, it is not a coincidence that the Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial is being dedicated on this day, the day before Veterans Day, a day that all Americans take a moment to honor military veterans who have served in the U.S. Armed Services. We are honored to have with us this morning Governor Terry R. McAuliffe, who loves this Commonwealth, loves this country, who admires all of our military members and what they are doing and what they have done, and who leads a state which is home to thousands of veterans and active duty military. Please welcome everyone, the Honorable Terry R. McAuliffe, Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I mean, goodness gracious, you could have woken up today in Ohio or Pennsylvania, and your career could have been ruined. You're here in the greatest state, the greatest nation on earth, the Commonwealth of Virginia. Am I not right? Well, what an honor to be here. I want to thank Lisa and everybody, and Tom, I thank you that, and Brian Shepard, my old friend from many years. It's great to be with you. Lois, thank you for your remarks. It's great to free my old friend Art Torres, Senator from California, a great old friend. It's an honor for me to be here with you today. I do want to recognize all of our veterans, our active duty members, our guardsmen, our reservists, and our family members. It's an honor for me to be here today. Lisa's right, I would not have missed this event. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, of course. I am the proud son of a World War II veteran who fought in the theater of the Pacific on many different battles in Okinawa and Saipan and so forth. And Dorothy and I are the proud father of a brand new minted second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. So we live and breathe for our military, and I do want to thank everybody here who has had a loved one who has served in our military, the sacrifice that they've all made, the dedication to our great country. Honestly, on behalf of all the citizens of the Commonwealth, we cannot thank you enough for your service. I also want to extend my sincere gratitude to UNOS for really something truly extraordinary and truly exceptional. As was mentioned by Brian, 90 lives a day are saved here, and that is something, I tell you, that is undeniably because of the hard work. I do want to give a shout out. All the staff is back here. If you could give the staff a great round of applause. I appreciate all the great work that everybody does, and to Tom and the OneLegacy organization, I thank you. I would also like to recognize former Navy SEAL Justin Legg, who received a lung transplant from UNOS, and he joins us here today. Thank you for your dedication and service. Today is a very special day, as say. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. We think of the countless folks around the globe from the United States of America who have fought on our behalf to make us the greatest nation in the world. I am very proud of our veterans. This is something I talk about when I ran for governor. I said I want Virginia to be the most veteran-friendly state in the United States of America, and I'm very proud. As you know, Virginia is home to over 800,000 veterans. Per capita, more than any state in the United States of America. We have more female veterans than any state in the United States of America. We have more veterans under the age of 25 than any other state in the United States of America. So 10% of our population is a veteran. And that is a tremendous honor that we have. But also with that honor, I believe, comes a very special responsibility to take care of our veterans. As you know, Virginia is a very pro-military state. We have 27 military installations, the largest naval base in the world. The Pentagon, the CIA, Quantico, Langley, Oceana, I could go on, but that is something very special. We transition out 10 to 15,000 veterans every single year. And it's my goal as governor to make sure that all of those veterans, when they are transitioning out of active duty, that they make Virginia their home. And that's why we have worked so hard here in Virginia to move forward. I'm very proud. Just the other day, we have a program called Virginia Values Our Veterans, our Feed 3 program. When I was elected governor, I said I want to see 10,000 veterans hired by the time I leave office by our businesses. We now have over 700 companies signed up to hire veterans. And we hired those 10,000 veterans 900 days early. I was very proud of all of our businesses. So I put another goal. I said, well, I want to double it again by the time I leave office. I want 20,000 veterans hired here in Virginia. And I was proud last Thursday that 400 days early, we hit that goal of 20,000 veterans here. So guess what? We're doubling it again by the time I leave office. But there is no other state that can say what I just mentioned. In addition, no other state can mention that last year I stood at our Veterans Memorial, and on Veterans Day, I was very proud to announce that we were the first and the only state in the United States of America that had functionally ended veteran homelessness in our state. Certified by the Department of HUD. And when I say that, we have moved thousands of homeless vets into permanent housing, not temporary, but permanent housing. And the day, obviously, we hit zero, as you know, the next day, we will have another homeless vet. What we now have through all of our state agencies and all of our community organizations, we have come together to envelope a process that if we see a veteran on the street, you call 211, we immediately have the process now to get that veteran and move them into permanent housing. We are very proud of all the efforts of the great work that everybody has done. In addition, I was sick and tired of hearing about the VA not delivering the health care they need to our veterans in our great country and our Commonwealth here. So we decided here in Virginia we're not going to wait any longer. So I just put in our budget, the only state to do this, we're building 2 of our own veterans medical centers. We are going to take care of our veterans. If the VA cannot do it at the federal level, we are not going to wait. And we are now the only state that are building 2 state-run medical centers for our veterans, which we are very proud of the work that we have done here. Now, obviously, jobs, education, smart housing policies are so important for us as we go forward. I do want to thank UNOS for the work and all of their partners for what they have done. The organ donation program's success is a reflection of really tireless work by so many different individuals. I am so proud of the work that they do. UNOS encapsulates what I call the new Virginia economy, using the new and latest technology. UNOS's computer system will match patients in need on a national waiting list. It opens it up exponentially so that people can be involved in the direct transfer of information, opens up the options for patients throughout all of the globe. This is especially important for our soldiers and our veterans and can be life-saving difference with a heart, a liver, intestines, a pancreas, or a kidney transplant. It is also, as we know, a soldier's final act in the ultimate sacrifice. As we've mentioned before, Army Ranger Benjamin Kopp was killed during his 2009 deployment in Afghanistan, donated his organs, bones, skin, and tissue, which saved or enhanced the lives of over 60 individuals. This was in addition to the 6 of his fellow comrades on the battlefield. And I do want to thank Jill for being with us here today, Benjamin's mother. She has become such a great advocate for organ and tissue donation. So if we could give Jill a great round of applause for the great work that she has done, we thank you and appreciate all that you have done. Without the work of Jill, OneLegacy, and the United Network for Organ Sharing, this statue that we have here today would not have been possible. I want to say in conclusion, thank you. On behalf of the 8.5 million citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the work you have done for this memorial and the work that has gone on in this building is truly, truly extraordinary. And you are an inspiration to all of us here in Virginia, and I will say this, an inspiration to everyone who lives in the great United States of America. Thank you very much.
It is now time to unveil this beautiful, beautiful statue. The governor is here to assist, along with Brian Shepard, Tom Moan, Lois Foxen, Ann Walsh, and Chris Foltz. And Tom, and I'm going to put you over there on that side. All right, we'll do a little count. We're going to pull backwards. So we're going to do you want one picture? I think first we're going to get a picture before. Here we go. This is before. And help us out, everybody. 3, 2, 1. And this is after. Your Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial. Thank you so much. I'm going to get one picture there with everybody in front. Yeah. And I can see Mr. Brown with the RTD, so that is perfect. Yes, I love that. Woo! This is a celebration. The inspiration for the statue is traced to all those who have given the gift of life as their last courageous act of service. But there is one conversation, one life-changing moment that Gary Foxon had that resulted in this statue today. And that's when Gary listened to Jill Stevenson speak after her only child, Corporal Benjamin Kopp, became an organ and tissue donor after being shot by a sniper while stationed in Afghanistan. Jill Stevenson joins us today to share her special message. Jill.
Good morning. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Governor, for your kind remarks and getting the facts about Ben's life-saving donations correct. The history of organ donation actually goes all the way back to 1982 when I was a young teenage girl and my 11-year-old brother was hit and killed by a car. He was saved by a highway patrolman that happened to be 2 cars back from him. He administered CPR and got him breathing again. He was transported to a hospital in the area where he survived artificially for 10 days, and my family was then informed that he was brain dead, and we were asked to consider donating his organs. My parents asked my 2 sisters and I if we would agree to that, and we believed that my brother, although he was only 11 years old, he was a very selfless little boy, and that there's no question if he was able to make that decision for himself, that's something that he would have done. So in 1982, my 11-year-old brother's organs were donated. In the state of Minnesota, where I lived at the time, records were not even kept until 1986, and so they consider my family pioneers in the organ donation world. Only 5 years after my brother was killed, I gave birth to my son, Ben. Ben grew up knowing the legacy of his uncle that had passed away before he was born and knew all about organ donation from a very young age. That would come into effect a number of years later, but not before Ben grew up being affected by his great-grandfather. Come from a very young family, and we were very blessed to have Ben be involved with his great-grandfather's life, who actually served as Ben's mentor. I raised Ben as a single mom, so his great-grandfather was the strongest male role model that Ben had. He was a World War II veteran, and Ben took notice of that when he was about 7 and got his eyes on a curio cabinet that was displayed in the cabin that we spent a lot of time at. He began asking him questions about his service to America, and he wanted to know all the details. From that very young age, Ben wanted to grow up and be just like his great-grandfather, and he wanted to join the Army. And he told my grandfather that he wanted to join the Army so he could grow up and be just like him. My grandfather explained to Ben that you don't become something just because somebody else did it. You become something because it's what you're meant to become yourself. And he said, when you're old enough, kid, you're going to get a gut feeling and you'll know what that is. Fast forward to April of 2001, my grandfather succumbed to cancer. And it was the first experience that Ben had with the death of a loved one, and it devastated him. His great-grandfather was his hero, and now his hero was gone, and he didn't know how to feel. He stayed quiet for 5 months until 9/11 happened. And then he got mad. And to Ben, the terrorist attacks on the United States were personal. It now became personal, and to him it was a mockery of his great-grandfather's service to our country, and it made him very angry. And it was at that ripe age of 13 where he got that gut feeling that his great-grandfather had forewarned him about. And he said that he was going to become an Army Ranger and he was going to find Osama bin Laden and make him pay. Well, Ben made good on that promise and stayed focused on joining the Army and did so early in his senior year of high school. By the spring of 2009, Ben was on his way to his 3rd deployment as an Army Ranger. He was wounded by a sniper and transported through Afghanistan, where he underwent surgery, spent about 24 hours in launch school, and made his way across the pond to Walter Reed, where it was determined the day after his arrival that he was brain dead. I was asked to consider donating Ben's organs. I didn't hesitate for a second. The physician that had that conversation with my mother and I, who happened to be there with me, asked me to consider it and said that he would allow me some time to think about it. And I said, I don't need time to think about it. There's no question. Ben will become an organ donor. Because he was 21, it was his decision to make had he made legal documentation of that, and we were able to find that documentation. On the living will that Ben completed before that last deployment, there was a question that asked, "Do you wish to be an organ donor?" Ben wrote in yes. The next question asked, "Which ones?" And Ben wrote in, "Any that are needed." And so Ben donated his bone, skin, tissue, and all of his organs. And as the governor mentioned earlier, those donations saved or enhanced the lives of Ben's story at the National Learning Congress. They also offered to have me meet in person Ben's heart recipient. I had spoke to her on the phone, but I hadn't met her in person, and this would give me an opportunity to actually put my hand on her heart and feel Ben's heart beating. I agreed to it. She said she thought it was risky because a lot of people don't want to speak about something so close to them just 2 months later, but I didn't hesitate. And I never regret that moment. I had a wonderful time, and I did get to speak with Ben's heart recipient on stage. I also had the opportunity then to meet Brian Stewart, who was the then CEO of OneLegacy. And after hearing my story, Brian asked me if I would be willing to come to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl parade and have Ben's image be made as a photograph in 2011, about 15 months later. I agreed to it, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, the trip of a lifetime, something I will never ever forget. And my mother was actually able to join me in honor of my brother, who had died at that time 29 years previous. It's at the Rose Parade where I met Gary in the barn. And the barn is where you finish you make your floragraphs. And Gary was very touched by my story and stayed in contact with me. We shared handwritten letters, which is, something that not a lot of people do anymore, but it was very nice. We had occasional phone calls, but Gary had shared with me his wanting to honor the fallen soldiers like Ben, who also became organ donors. And I spoke with him about it numerous times. The last communication that I had with Gary was he had sent me a PDF of the brochure that was going to be sent out seeking donations, and he showed me the model for this memorial here, and I was very touched by it, incredibly touched. And Gary was just a real champion of wanting to honor these heroes, and that meant a lot to me. I was saddened to learn when Gary passed away 2 years ago, and I wondered what was going to happen to this memorial. I didn't really know who to contact, and life got on, and I didn't follow up with anything. And so I was very pleased to learn recently that this was happening, and it had come to fruition, and that OneLegacy had stepped in to make this possible. I couldn't be more honored to see this. I know that I'm not the only family member here who's had a loved one that has given twice, as Ben did, once on the battlefield and then as an organ donor to save the lives of strangers. There are other family members or other families that have done this, of course, and I happen to know some of them. So in their honor, I'd like to thank all of you who made this possible, too, for those that couldn't be here with us. I also would like to honor Gary for his commitment and his love to this project. And I feel that it's very apropos that this is happening so close to the anniversary of his death. In my world, we call it the Angelversary. It was almost 2 years ago when he got his angel wings. So I think I have no question that Gary is smiling down on this, and so is Ben and all the other men and women, veterans who have given their not only their lives on the battlefield, but also their organ, bone, skin, and tissue to save other lives. I love the design of this. It's absolutely beautiful. And I will say first to Chris Foltz, who designed this memorial here. I was here first 5 years ago with Lisa Coliani when I was here for a speaking engagement and got to see this memorial gardens, and I was absolutely moved. When I first walked in, I was almost rendered speechless. It was like walking into the redwood forest to me. It was, you don't want to speak. You're caught off guard by the beauty and the serenity, and I was absolutely amazed. And one of my favorite effects is the water feature, and it's the wall of tears over here, and we can hear that water falling right now. And it starts with a single drop of water, and if you make your way around the corner, you can see that faucet where one drip starts. And that's represented as a ripple effect. My brother started a ripple effect way back in 1982. My grandfather started a ripple effect when he had that wonderful mentoring effect on my son. 27 years after my brother began that ripple, Ben stepped in, and he began a ripple effect too. We all have the power to have a ripple effect on life and in our lives and what we do. And it doesn't have to be in war, it doesn't have to be in organ donation. It's by being kind to one another and loving each other for who we are. And I believe that my brother, my grandfather, and my son were great examples of that. The design of what this actually looks like, the larger-than-life soldier, it speaks volumes to me because they really truly are larger than life. I know that the transparency of this represents the transparency of the soldiers and who they were and who they represented. And it is with transparency of who we are that we connect as a community, and that is the only way that we connect with each other, is when we're willing to be transparent. And that's how we find our common bonds. The transparency in this also represents to me the ability for the sun and the light to shine through it. And I think that's what is the true meaning of what our organ donors do, is they let their light continue to shine long after they're gone, and that's their ripple effect. So to everyone who made this possible, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's absolutely beautiful, stunning. It means the world to me. Lois, I'm so glad you could make the trip out here, and all those from OneLegacy Foundation. Lisa from UNOS, I'm so honored to be here, and the governor for being here as well. Thank you all so much. God bless.
I've asked Jill to come over to the plaque. We're going to have a very special unveiling. This plaque will hang, it's the sister plaque to the statue, and it will hang in Landstuhl Military Hospital in Germany, which is where you've heard many of our military members become organ donors after passing from their injuries that they received on the battlefield. I'd also ask Dr. Gunther Kirst to come forward as well for the unveiling. Tom Moen and Governor, would you please step forward to help? And of course, we need assistance from all of those who are here. All right, the before picture. All right, in 3, 2, 1, gentle. No, it's not coming anywhere. That's the reason we have a tall governor. Yes. Woo! And this also is meant to be touched. And you'll notice the imagery is identical to that in the statue itself. Gorgeous. Thank you all. And Governor, thank you for being with us this morning. We know that you need to depart for another speech. We so appreciate you being here. Well, he unveiled, and now he's going to come up and say a few words. I would ask Dr. Gunther Kirst to join us now. He is the retired medical director of the German Foundation for Organ Transplantation. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you to all of you. While standing here in front of you and thinking of people who donated their life and donated organ is really an honor for me. So being a soldier in the US Army, serving and having the desire to serve and help is the one thing. The other thing is, in addition to that, to help others in getting a better life and extending their lifetime. So for me, those who are serving in two ways, these are excellent persons, and I'm only can say that I have a full respect in front of them. When I was first approached in 2001 by the officers and doctors of the US Army Hospital in Landstuhl, asking whether we could make organ donation happen from these soldiers in Germany as well, we were tackling a lot of organizational, legal, and other problems. Because allocation of organs in Germany, who are taken in Germany, is only allowed following the legal requirements in Germany. And we had to try to find a way on how we can manage that. Moreover, we needed to have the allowance to let German doctors work in a US Army institution. Again, that was not very easy. But at the end, we did it. And at the end, we had about 65 donors from this hospital in the time from 2001 to up to now. So these are, for me, the true heroes in the story. The only thing what we couldn't solve was the request of some of the relatives of those soldiers who wanted to come into contact with the recipients in Germany. According to the German transplant law, this is strictly forbidden. Don't ask me why. I can't give you a reason for that. But what stands at the end is that organ donation is a kind of a gesture of humanity and brotherly love. And those who are donating are the true heroes when we are thinking of transplantation and the lifetime gained by the transplantation. So I'm here to honor these people, and it's a pleasure for me to be here, and thank to all of you who have done something to make this event happen, and of course to have a statue like this, which are really like how it's done. So thank you very much to all of you, and again, respect to those who are donors.
And that is our presentation this morning. We thank all of you for attending, and a special thank you to all of our special guests and our speakers here this morning. We invite everyone here now, please come up, take a very close look, take pictures, and touch and feel. It's meant to be a part of your heart. This is now your Fallen Soldier Donor Memorial. We also have a reception inside that we hope that you'll join us. And for each and every one of you, we have a special gift for you to remember this day as you leave. We've created a special dedication card with the wording of the plaque and the statue, as well as a picture of the statue, that you can take this with you. And it's a remembrance for you of this very, very special day and all of us joining here together in the National Donor Memorial. Please enjoy the statue and remember to say thank you, not only today, but every day, to every person you meet serving in our U.S. military. Thank you all for being here.